course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. A lot to talk about tonight on this live. I mean, we have three major shows going on this weekend in regards for pro wrestling. Obviously, the WWE has Saturday night's main event, NXT Battleground, and then of course AEW Double or Nothing. A lot of matches to uncover here. I mean, there's top to bottom there is something for everybody. And that's what I think the best part about pro wrestling nowadays is there is a little bit of everything for everyone. Whether you're a fan of NXT, WWE, or AEW, the odds are there is at least one match or really one show that you're looking forward to the most. In today's live, though, I wanted to have that opportunity to tackle every single matchup that is currently scheduled. And as of right now, as of this live stream, there is another main show going on for TNA Under Siege. SmackDown for some members on the East Coast is already happening. Us on the West Coast, we kind of have to wait a little bit longer for SmackDown to start. But we'll start there with the WWE. Saturday night's main event, again, the third iteration of this current crop of Saturday night's main event to take place. Obviously, there was one in December, there was one in January, and now here's another one in the month of May. The very first matchup I want to talk about here is the Steel Cage match. Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, they've been at odds since last year. You could even go back. This version of the feud really has picked up since the Royal Rumble, where Damian threw out Drew. In the Chamber matchup, Drew was eliminated by Damian, and then Damian Priest would ultimately lose at WrestleMania against Drew McIntyre in that street fight. But it's really stemmed from WrestleMania 40, where Drew McIntyre won the world championship. Kind of celebrated, got a little overzealous, and as a result, Damian Priest took advantage of that opportunity, cashed in Money in the Bank, and set in motion a lot of the stories that are going on right now for Drew and for Damian. Obviously, Damian had his run as the world champion. Drew had arguably the best rivalry of the year in pro wrestling with CM Punk. And so to see now, we're circling back a year later to this feud. We saw the street fight, and now we're getting a steel cage match between the two. I'm looking forward to it. Drew McIntyre is my guy. I mean, he was the unsung hero for 2024. Shout out to Mama Ramos in the chat there. And Damian Priest, I think, had a decent run as the world champion. I know some people aren't really very high on Damian Priest, but I'm a fan as well. And so to see this, what I think will be the culmination of their rivalry inside a steel cage match, I look at WrestleMania. And I see that Drew McIntyre won that matchup. I find it very hard to believe he ends up sweeping Damian Priest. Damian Priest did get the elimination at the Royal Rumble and the Elimination Chamber. Shout out to Grizzy in the chat. I'm doing well, buddy. How you doing? Happy Friday to everybody in the chat. I'm going to go with Damian Priest. I think Damian Priest wins this matchup. I think Damian Priest wins the steel cage match, defeats Drew McIntyre, gets his win back from WrestleMania 41. And also, there are reports that Drew McIntyre is a little bit banged up. They have said that so is Damian Priest, but I see a lot of things about Drew McIntyre getting banged up. I think this gives him a chance to maybe step away for a second, kind of recuperate and rehabilitate some of those injuries. But I do think Damian Priest goes over. I want to hear from you guys in the chat. Not gonna lie, I've been liking the Drew Priest feud. I'm with you, Grizzy. Some people are sour on Damian Priest, but I'm a big fan of Priest and Drew McIntyre. The feud itself, is it the best it could have been? No, I think there's some things that maybe they could have done a little bit better in terms of increasing the intensity and making us feel like it's a real blood feud. But for what it is, to me, it's one of the highlights of SmackDown during a time where SmackDown's kind of mid. I'm a SmackDown guy. You guys know this. If you follow the chat, if you follow the streams, you knew I grew up as a fan of the Blue brand. Ever since they changed to 3 hours, SmackDown's been hit or miss. Some good episodes, but then there's somewhere it feels like it's filler. But I do think that the McIntyre and Priest feud is one that I'm interested in. It's one I want to be continuing to see. And again, I'm thinking it's a steel cage match. Odds are it's going to be a great match. I trust these two. The culmination of their feud. I'm going Damian Priest. Shout out to Kent in the chat as well. What's going on, buddy? Hope you're doing well here on a Friday night. Next up, though, we talk about the culmination of one feud, and this very well may be the beginning of another one, a tag team match. CM Punk, Sami Zayn, they team up. They're going to be facing off against the new pairing of Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins, the new Paul Heyman guys. And this one could go either way. I could see it go either way. I see outside interference in that match. Ken says I see outside interference for the tag team match, I'm assuming. Can't go wrong with a big man feud. They are huge. Hey, we like seeing some big boys battle it out. You know what I mean? Yada I mean? Jacob Fatu. The tag team match, though, it could go either way. If I'm booking it, I want Breaker and Rollins to seem like a viable threat. Shout out to San Fran 5. Yes, meet. I want them to be a viable threat. I want these guys to be presented as someone who will be, gunning for everybody. I don't want them to be these guys that just team up and they lose, On the flip side, if they do lose, I think it increases their anger. It causes them to be a little bit more aggressive in their pursuit of the top of the food chain. With CM Punk and Sami Zayn, that pairing is new, right? I do think that Seth Rollins and Punk, they still have their blood feud. I feel like that's going to get to Seth. Or, sorry, excuse me, it's going to get to Punk. He's going to get a little bit overzealous. I look at this pairing. I don't see Rollins taking a pin. I don't see Breaker taking a pin. I certainly do not see Punk taking a pin either. I'm thinking Sami takes the pin. I know there's been some. I see Grizzly here in the chat. Says the Punk Sami has me worried. Hope it's not another there's always a plan B moment. I don't want to see Sami turn heel. I like Sami as a babyface. I feel like right now we're on the trajectory of a Sami Zayn world title run. I think, for my money's worth, he could win the Rumble. And maybe leading into WrestleMania 42, Sami Zayn is that guy that we're rooting for to be the next champion. So I'm hoping there's not a heel turn for Sami Zayn in the foreseeable future. But I do think it would be very difficult to believe that Rollins or Breaker takes a pin, especially this early into the alliance with Paulie Dangerously, aka Paul Heyman. I think the heels go over. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, they get the win. They get the pin on Sami Zayn, and we go from there. Maybe we see a little bit more tension from Sami Zayn. Maybe he's not really so sure of himself, trying to find it in within him to go solo. I don't think he wants to team up with Seth Rollins, but we've seen in the past how they're trying to recruit Sami Zayn. I don't think he joins, but I do think we see more of an internal battle between them. Ken says Maverick's the next member of Seth Bunch. Maverick? Are we talking about Logan Paul? I don't think Logan Paul joins. I know Logan Paul right now is obviously in the Jey Uso feud, which is a great segue there. Logan Paul will be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship against Jey Uso. I can't see him joining them, but maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think they're gonna go that route. Jey Uso defending the World Championship with Logan Paul as the challenger. This one's a little bit interesting because it's something different. Logan Paul back into the world title scene. We saw him against Cody Rhodes last year during the King and Queen of the Ring event. But for me, it's probably the easiest to predict. Jey Uso's not losing that title, not right now, and not to Logan Paul. I do think there may be a possibility that Logan Paul wins the world title down the line, maybe later this year. Maybe he wins Money in the Bank even, but I do not think he is actually going to defeat Jey Uso. I find it very hard to believe. I do think that Jey Uso is in for a decent title run in terms of length, but ultimately, he will be the one that gets cashed in on. That's just my prediction. Jey Uso right now is in a position where it could be a little divisive. People in the audience are big fans of Jey Uso. Apparently, members of the online community, they're anti-Jey Uso. And so I feel like if there's anybody that can take the loss and still come out, relatively okay as Jey Uso. I like Jey Uso. I see Grizzly here in the chat as 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet. I love Jey Uso. That's my guy. I'm just hoping it's a good matchup between he and Logan Paul. And Logan Paul has a good track record of having these good matches. I mean, AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes, even the Ricochet one at SummerSlam a couple of years ago. Roman Reigns, he even had a high profile matchup with him. Logan Paul can get on a good matchup. Jey Uso, I think, as well. I'm looking forward to it. I'm thinking, though, Jey Uso successfully defends that title and moves on against Gunther June 9th on that episode of Monday Night Raw. If Logan wins, I riot. I'm with you, Grizzy. I think right now I am not ready for a Logan Paul world title run. Could it happen? Like I said, I think it might by the end of the year. But right now, as it currently stands, May 23rd, 2025, I do not think it's happening this upcoming weekend. The Marvel and DC Marshlands, hey, how's it going? It's going good. Going well. It's a Friday night. We're talking three different major shows here: Saturday night's main event, Battleground, and Double or Nothing, sharing our predictions as to who we think will be winning each scheduled matchup. It is a Friday night, so we're gearing up for SmackDown here on the West Coast. Got the Eastern Conference Finals playing in the background as well. The Pacers versus the Knicks, high profile matchup. I'm really looking forward to see how that'll turn out. The Pacers are up right now 1-0. Game 2 is on right now though. Ricochet turned soft being a heel. I actually like this iteration of Ricochet. I think it suits him. I think he's getting under the people's skin in an effective way. I will say early on, when he was a babyface for AEW, it wasn't genuine to me. I felt like it was disingenuous, you know? Him turning heel and being this cocky, arrogant, you know, just jerk. I think it really suits him, and it's something fresh that we haven't seen, at least not from the WWE side of his career. So no, the Ricochet stuff, I'm actually a fan of. Does it come off a little corny? Yeah, but I think it's by design, and that's why I'm okay with it. The last matchup though for Saturday night's main event, John Cena versus he's goofy as hell. I think that's the point though, Kent. He's supposed to come off goofy as hell. The last matchup though, John Cena versus R-Truth, the champ, right? 17-time champion. John Cena going to be going on against R-Truth. R-Truth's childhood hero is John Cena. This is a matchup I did not think I wanted to see. When we heard about the John Cena retirement tour, a lot of people said, well, what about R-Truth? And I thought for sure, okay, maybe we get some interactions, some backstage segments. That'd be cool. I did not think we would be building towards a big matchup here at a Saturday night's main event. R-Truth goes one-on-one with John Cena. I'm hoping we get a good showing from Truth here. Everybody knows, I would say everybody knows that Cena's going to win, but it is a non-title matchup, which allows us that opportunity to suspend our disbelief and maybe for a second here believe that Truth has a shot. But no, I'm going John Cena. I don't think Truth wins. I think he has a good showing though. John Cena goes over, continues his reign of terror as the new big bad of the WWE, and moves forward with the WWE title, and seeing who's next on his list. I do think that John Cena versus R-Truth, for some people, may be a waste of a matchup for John Cena here in his retirement tour, but for someone like me who's been watching it for years and seeing R-Truth and his fandom of John Cena, I like it. It's like rewarding the fans who have stuck with it for so long. So I'm a big fan of it. Grizzy says, stacked weekend for wrestling. I love it. Man, I'm a fan of it too, but it's like there's not enough time in the world. Because Saturday night's main event, Double or Nothing. There's obviously a Battleground. I still have to catch up on Collision I have recorded. I haven't gotten to Collision, and I kind of want to check out Under Siege as well. Killings and Cena are great friends. I could see it for sure. They Truth seemed like such a genuine dude. I've watched his interviews with Chris Van Vliet. Man's funny. He's just a real likable guy. Is R-Truth. I'm a big fan of his too. Little Jimmy distraction for the win. That'd be awesome. That'd be hilarious. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that Truth wanted an action figure for little Jimmy, and it would be just a box with no figure inside, and he wanted to sell it, but they didn't go for it for obvious reasons. But the little Jimmy stuff, man, shout out to R-Truth. That takes us to NXT Battleground. But before we get to Battleground, make sure you guys drop in your predictions, or what is the matchup that you're looking forward to the most this upcoming weekend between the three shows. What matchup are you looking forward to the most? NXT Battleground, to me, it's hit or miss. I mean, there's some matches I'm into, but then there's other matches where I'm like, it could have been an episode of NXT. So I think of the three shows, Battleground to me is the least anticipated one for me personally. I'll start with the 6-man tag. The Culling will be going against Hank and Tank, the NXT Tag Team Champions, as they team up with Josh Briggs. This match just got thrown together this past week on NXT. Obviously, the Culling and Hank and Tank have had their issues. Josh Briggs being the third for the baby faces here. I'm thinking the Culling win. I don't see them losing this matchup, especially because Shawn Spears had just lost the NXT North American title, so maybe they're going to want to build up a little bit more equity in that group. I don't think Hank and Tank take the pin. Honestly, I think Josh Briggs takes the pin here. Culling go over. That's my prediction for them. From one tag team to a tag team that had broken up, the Tony D'Angelo storyline has been interesting for me. I do think Tony D'Angelo versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo could be a sleeper of a matchup. I think it's going to be heavy in the story department, and by no means do I think it's going to be, a huge matchup, but I do think it's going to be something that would resonate with fans that have stuck with the family for so long. We acknowledge our tribal chief Roman Reigns. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. We do acknowledge Roman Reigns, and who's to say that he doesn't make an appearance at Saturday night's main event? Appreciate the super chat there. I ain't gonna watch it live, but Timeless Tony match, yeah, that should be a good one. We'll get to that one, Ken. Great shout out there. Ken says 5 out of 10 on Collision. Yeah, I mean, again, Collision is I think is the lesser of the two between that and Dynamite. Miles to the Moon. Oh, we'll get to that too, buddy. Love it, guys. But with Channing Stacks, Lorenzo, and Tony D'Angelo, Tony D'Angelo is cool, right? But he's been on NXT for so long. I'm afraid that we're never going to see him on the main roster. I think he has a ceiling when it comes to his potential in the WWE. I think Lorenzo goes over. I think we get the victory there for Stacks. Continue to build him up as the new Dawn of NXT potentially. I think he takes up on Tony D'Angelo's spot in NXT, and maybe Tony moves up to the main roster. I don't know where he's gonna fit though. I could very much see him as a SmackDown guy, but I do think Tony ends up getting lost in the shuffle. Unfortunately, I find it very difficult to find him finding his spot in the main roster, especially with the given gimmick that he has right now. Two people that I do not think will be struggling to find a spot on the main roster though are Sol Ruka, the North American champion, going up against Kalani Jordan. This is an uber athletic matchup. Two athletes at their finest. Kalani Jordan, the inaugural champion, and then as well as Sol Ruka, who's the current reigning and defending champion. I'm thinking Sol Ruka, retains the title. She just won the championship. It should be, again, a competitive and athletic affair between the two. And again, like Tony D'Angelo and Channing Lorenzo, I do think this is a sleeper for match of the night because these two girls can go. I mean, the athletes that they are, and certainly because the lights are on bright and these two want to put on a show for the crowd there, don't sleep on Sol Ruka and Kalani Jordan. The 5-on-5 match is going to be a little disappointing. I hope not. I'm all for it, man. But I mean, I hope not. But I'm naturally optimistic. That's my problem. Speaking of optimistic, how about the rise of TNA? Hold on, we'll get to that in a second. When you think the LFG people have their first match? Well, we just saw one of them make a huge impact by attacking Oba Femi, the current reigning and defending NXT World Champion, Oba Femi. So I don't think we see that matchup for maybe a couple weeks. Is it going to be an episode of NXT? Maybe. I don't know if they would put that on a PLE or maybe on a special themed episode of NXT. But I do think maybe within the next couple weeks we'll see him have his first matchup. TNA though, the TNA World Champion Joe Hendry will be defending his championship against Trick Willie. Trick Williams, the former two-time NXT champion. And it's been a refreshing change in Trick Williams' attitude, kind of displaying a little bit of a heelish type of an attitude while still maintaining a lot of the same characteristics of the Trick Williams that we have been a fan of. Shout out to Tyler there in the chat. How you doing, buddy? Glad to see you in the chat. We're talking Saturday night's main event, Battleground, and Double or Nothing, our predictions for every show. We're currently talking about Joe Hendry going up against Trick Williams for the TNA World Championship. I think it's academic. I find it tough to believe that Trick wins the. I mean, okay, hear me out here because I see Kent just threw out the suggestion. I find it hard to believe that Trick wins because it's the TNA Championship. Are they going to allow someone else from a different promotion winning that championship? It could happen, certainly. But if you ask me, Under Siege is currently taking place right now. I would not be surprised if Trick Williams pins Joe Hendry in the tag team matchup. It's currently Trick Williams and Frankie Kazarian versus Joe Hendry and Elijah in a tag team matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if Trick Williams gets the pin on Joe Hendry in this tag team matchup to get the victory. And then following that at Battleground, a little bit of a role reversal, and we see Joe Hendry pinned Trick Williams. Plus, Joe Hendry's on fire right now. I don't see why TNA would agree to take the title off of Joe Hendry unless if they have something even bigger planned. But with that being said, Joe Hendry goes over, successfully defends his championship against Trick Willie. The NXT Championship, Oba Femi will be defending his world title up against Miles Bourne. And I love this story. When Miles Bourne had won the Battle Royal, it caught a lot of people by surprise, myself included. I did not think that Miles Bourne was going to get this win, but I'm happy he did. And them highlighting the story of him and his disability. As we know, he is partially deaf. And that strikes a chord with me, being that I have a family member, who suffers from hearing loss, that is deaf. And it's interesting to see how quickly everybody was to rally around Miles Bourne. I'm hoping it's a great showing. I'm hoping it gives an opportunity to Miles Bourne to highlight his ability and maybe feature him as a consistent star, not necessarily just with the No Quarter Catch crew, but as a singles star. I'm all for building new stars, and if Miles Bourne can have the match of his life against Oba Femi, he may put himself in the position to become a breakout star in NXT. This matchup for me has a lot of emotional attachment to it. I talked about how the story between Tony D'Angelo and Stax Lorenzo that has this emotion attached to it. But to me, we love an underdog. We love to cheer for the underdog, and I feel like that's what we got with Miles Bourne. Will he win? Probably not, but I tell you what, I would love to see him give it his best. I'm hoping it's a great matchup. Tyler says, I got AEW tickets this weekend. Awesome. I hope you enjoy the show. It's Double or Nothing, and AEW is really good at producing excellent pay-per-view matches. So I hope you enjoy the show, Tyler. Come back on the stream again and let us know what you thought about the show. Kent says Trick wins to satisfy TNA being other side of NXT. I mean, again, that is a theory to have. But I just can't see them taking it off of Joe Hendry just yet. Would it be great heat? Yeah, it would be great heat. But I struggle to think that it happens. I am marking hard for Miles. Again, I'm rooting for the kid, man. I'm rooting for the kid. I don't think he wins, but as long as he has a great showing and, again, puts himself in a position to be featured more, that's a win in itself. So we're rooting for Miles, but Oba Femi's the pick. And finally, the matchup that I'm most looking forward to, the NXT Women's Championship. Stephanie Vaquer defends her title against the Juggernaut, Jordynne Grace. This is a matchup. Two of the biggest stars for women's wrestling. Just two of the biggest stars in wrestling, really. Stephanie Vaquer, who had a fantastic 2024, and Jordynne Grace, who was a big proponent of bringing Total Nonstop Action back from the dead, essentially, and having them, having been a big part of them regaining a lot of momentum. Jordynne Grace versus Stephanie Vaquer, that's going to be match of the night. I would hazard to guess that something else would be match of the night. That's going to be match of the night. Stephanie versus Jordynne Grace will steal the show, but I got to go Stephanie. Love Jordynne Grace, and I do think she'll win the championship later, but not tonight. Not this night. Stephanie goes over, continues her title reign, continuing to be La Primera of NXT, and of course with the representation. You know I'm a little bit biased. Stephanie goes over. Should be a great matchup though. Ken says the match not to sleep on are the tournament matches. Ooh, and he's bringing up AEW. I love it. I love it. Too early for the win for sure, but it's great heat, and this match will skyrocket him. Or will only skyrocket him. Yeah, I do agree it's too early for the win, but it is great heat for the match. We get to AEW as Kent mentioned. We'll start with the women's tournament final: Mercedes Moné versus Jamie Hayter. This is an interesting matchup, because of all the matches that Mercedes Moné has had in this last year, this to me is the one that I'm most interested in. Because in the other ones, they were for championships, and so we kind of had an idea who was going to win. Mercedes was going to win, continuing her collection of titles. But there's not a championship here on the line. Rather, it is a championship opportunity at All In. Jamie Hayter, who has been on a consistent rise ever since making her return from injury. But Mercedes Moné, I mean, she's the CEO of professional wrestling, one of the best women's wrestlers to do it right now. And for that reason, I'm thinking that we're building for this huge clash at All In between Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. Moné wins the matchup in what should be a fantastic matchup between the two. I would expect nothing less from two of the best wrestlers in AEW. Mercedes Moné goes over. Now, with that being said, I kind of just gave away my prediction for the women's championship: Toni Storm versus Mina Shirakawa. Should be a fine matchup. I think Toni Storm goes over. I don't think I don't think anything special happens here. I think it's just a way to showcase Toni, as well as give that opportunity to maybe Mercedes Moné pops up towards the end, and we have this face off between the two. That's what I think will happen. I think it just builds towards All In, Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné. I feel like that's the collision course that they have. It is the two biggest stars for their women's division that have not crossed paths just yet. So I feel like they've been saving it for a marquee event like All In. How do you capitalize on that? This is how you do it. So we got Toni Storm successfully defending her women's championship. And speaking of successfully defending, I have the Hurt Syndicate. That's right, with their new member MJF, I have them successfully defending their title against the Sons of Texas. I'm a fan of Dustin Rhodes. Sammy Guevara, I'm a little bit hit or miss with him. Um, but I have the Hurt Syndicate winning. Love Bob Lashley, love Shelton Benjamin. MVP is the MVP of AEW. So, Hurt Syndicate, there's not really much to say about this. The story here really is MJF as the new member. But with that being said, I gotta go with the Hurt Syndicate. They hurt people, for God's sake. The one I wish I could watch is Sons of Texas match. Yeah. How ironic, right? I didn't even see that comment and we're already talking about it. Again, I'm a fan of Dustin, but they're already the Ring of Honor tag team champions. And then on top of that, Dustin is the Trios tag team champions alongside the Von Erich boys. So I don't think he's going to be adding another belt to his collection. I have the Hurt Syndicate going over. Let's stick with the tag team division because FTR will be going up against Danny Garcia and Nigel McGuinness. What a tag team. We did not think Nigel McGuinness was going to be coming out of retirement again to team up with Danny Garcia. But I do think it is just a vehicle to get more heat for FTR. They've been doing some great work in AEW. Their matches have been stellar, and now we were able to explore the heelish side of FTR that we haven't seen in quite some time. I think FTR though goes over, probably get a vicious attack on Nigel McGuinness. Maybe we have a moment in there where Nigel McGuinness is able to gather up enough steam, enough momentum, and kind of get his get back at FTR, but just falls a little bit short. I think Nigel McGuinness takes the pin here, and FTR continues their way, maybe even setting up a collision course between them and the Hurt Syndicate. I'd be interested in it. I don't know about you guys. We'll move from there. The stretcher match: Ricochet against Mark Briscoe. You know, this matchup to me is one of the ones that I'm not as invested in. And it's by no means a knock on either individual. But it's just because I don't know. I'm not as invested in it, quite frankly. And it has the added stipulation of a stretcher match, which only helps. But I do think Ricochet goes over. Mark Briscoe hasn't really been the featured star that we would have thought he was based on his time in Ring of Honor. Also, it might be a part of the reason why is because he was a tag team. Rest in peace to his brother. But Ricochet has more to benefit from it. I could see Ricochet being a contender for the World Championship one day. I think he has certainly improved in the. I mean, I wouldn't say in the ring because he's still Ricochet, but in terms of character work, whether you think he's corny or goofy, and that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion, just like I am. I do think he has improved in terms of that character work, and he's begun to settle in and become comfortable as this heel that he has become. I think he goes over. I think he beats Briscoe, and then we move forward into the next step of Ricochet, the next rise for Ricochet. We also have the Don Callis family who will be going up against the formerly known uh, Undisputed Kingdom, now known as the Paragon, I believe. I'm thinking the baby faces go over. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. I have them go over. That matchup again just got thrown together in the last couple of days. I have nothing really to add to it. Shout out to Josh Alexander, who had joined AEW as well as joining the Don Callis family. He was a staple of TNA, of Impact Wrestling for the better part of almost a decade at this point. He was a part of a tag team there as well, Team Canada, also the North, and was their champion for a minute there, the world champion of TNA. So seeing him join AEW and being featured on really broad TV there. Um, Getting on a tangent here about Josh Alexander, but I have the baby faces going over. We got three more matches here on the card. The Continental Championship, Kazuchika Okada versus Speedball Mike Bailey. This is an interesting matchup. I think, again, I feel like I've said it a couple times already in regards to the other shows. This could steal the show. If they give these guys ample enough to time, Okada and Bailey, they could put on a show. Okada goes over, though. I don't think Bailey wins. I think he has been very protected in terms of his losses in AEW, but I think because it's Okada's, dude, he's not taking a loss. He's not losing this title. I just wish they would feature him more prominently, like on a main event scene, because the Continental title for me is there's no value to it. It's only there for the Continental Open, for the Continental Classic, I should say. Aside from that, I just don't see any value in the Continental Championship, and thus Okada, I just don't see much value in his run at this point. Now, because it's Okada, I am interested in the matchup, and him against Bailey, I think should just be a stellar showing, but I have Okada going over. Death Riders teaming up with the Young Bucks. They'll be going up in a Anarchy in the Arena matchup. Anything goes up against. Listen to this team, right? We have the Ops, Shibata, Hobbs, and Samoa Joe, teaming up with Willow Nightingale, Swerve Strickland, and Kenny Omega. You talk about all-star talent. I mean, Kenny, Swerve, Willow, Samoa Joe, that's already elite company there. Speaking of elite, you have the Young Bucks, John Moxley, Claudio. I'm looking forward to it. I think it not being the main event is an interesting choice because these Anarchy in the Arena matches bring a lot of energy, bring a lot of carnage, and bring a lot of entertainment value to the pay per view itself. So for it to not be the main event, that runs the risk. But that tells me they have a lot of faith in the main event that's scheduled. And we'll get to the main event here in a second, though. I don't think the baby faces go over because this is something fresh of Young Bucks and the Death Riders teaming up, and also because I think they want to protect John Moxley. I think because whoever beats Moxley for that championship is set. They're gonna be the face of the company. I think so. They're gonna have this heat being built up, continue to build heat, continue to build heat, and so when finally the world championship is taken off of John Moxley, it's like this huge thing for them, and I love that. So I got the Death Riders going over. And also because if the Death Riders were the main event and win the matchup, you already know there's going to be an uproar. There's going to be criticism. There's going to be an uproar from the audience, from the online community. So I think they're going to save the main event spot for something else. Obviously, that being Will Ospreay versus Hangman Adam Page for the Owen Hart Finals, the right for a championship match at All In. Ken says, "Are girls getting involved in the match?" Yeah, Willow Nightingale and Marina Shafir, they're in the matchup. So it'll be, what is that? Five men and one woman on each team. So as it currently stands, Kenny Omega, Swerve, Willow, Ops versus the Young Bucks and all members of the Death Riders, with the exception of Pac. How long of a run has Mox been on? Mox has been the champion since what, October, I believe, because he was at Wrestle Dream. I believe it was Wrestle Dream. He had beat Bryan Danielson for the championship. So that's all the way back in November or October. I believe it was October, if I'm not mistaken. So October, November, December, 7 months. He's been the champion. It feels longer. I'm going to tell you right now, it feels a lot longer. But the winner of the Owen Hart Finals, whether it be Hangman Adam Page, whether it be Will Ospreay, they will get that opportunity to dethrone Jon Moxley at All In. This is match of the night. No doubt about it. It's the main event, and you have the guy who many had perceived as the main character, as the top baby face of all Elite Wrestling, Hangman Page. The story was always going to be about Hangman and how he overcame the anxiety, how he overcame the self-deprecation, the lack of confidence, the doubt within himself. And now him having this opportunity to redeem himself, coming out of the slump that he's been in these last couple of years, but going up against Will Ospreay, who's the new toy in town, and is now in place to be the face of AEW. Will Ospreay's all talent. This guy's one of the best to do it today. Will Ospreay, if he's not in your top 10 of pro wrestlers today, you might have to reevaluate your top 10 list. But Will Ospreay is on a run in AEW like no one else. And hearing his promo game improve, his connection with the crowd is authentic. Love the Hangman, but I'm going with Will Ospreay. I think it's Will Ospreay. Part of me, when this title reign began all the way back when, I thought Darby Allin was going to be the one to dethrone Jon Moxley, but then obviously Darby Allin got injured, and then he went to go climb Mount Everest. So congrats to him. But I think it's Will Ospreay. This guy is, it's pun intended, but he's on another level. Will Ospreay goes over, and I think he's the one to defeat Jon Moxley for the world title at All In. It should be a great show. Should be a great weekend of matches. I want to hear from you guys in the chat. What matchup are you looking forward to the most? What are some of your predictions for some of these matches? And go ahead and voice your questions or comments in the chat below. Thought it was September. How long it feels. Yeah. I don't know. September, October. Well, because September's All Out, right? And then October, I believe, is Wrestle Dream. Will Ospreay's going to take it. Yeah. It's got to be Will Ospreay. Him winning. First of all, he would look great with that championship. The AEW World Championship is already a stellar looking title, but you put it on the waist of Will Ospreay, it's going to be a great look. And honestly, I've already kind of missed the championship. We haven't seen it in so long. They keep it locked up in that briefcase. It would be a welcome sight to see that World Championship back. Will Ospreay's winning it, though. The winner of Mox and winner take on Kenny Omega. Well, first off, shout out to Muhammad. I see you in the chat, Muhammad. How you doing? Jay versus Paul, Obi versus Miles are going to be my highlight matches. I agree. Those are great choices. Obafemi and Miles Bourne. I think that one is certainly a matchup I did not think was going to be highlight of my weekend, but I'm glad it's being highlighted. Jay versus Paul. The crowd's going to be hot. Jay Uso, he has unwavering support from the audience. Like, they get lit when Jey Uso is in the crowd. And then on the contrast, Logan Paul, He's a heel's heel. People do not like Logan Paul. He's good at what he does. I'll give him that much credit. So to have that hot of a crowd of Logan Paul haters and Jey Uso supporters, wow. So far I'm doing okay. Just dealing with. I'm sorry to hear about the earache, Muhammad. I hope it clears up for you. I used to have ear infections all the time, and it bugs me. So man, I hope it clears up for you, buddy. Moxing the winner of the heart, that is. Dude, big weekend ahead though. Saturday night's main event, NXT Battleground, AEW, Double or Nothing, a triple header of action, and that's not even to count SmackDown tonight and Under Siege for TNA, Monday Night Raw. Oh my God, dude, there's too much. There's too much content out there, not enough time in the world. I wish we had more time in a day so I could catch up on everything, but thankfully, due to the invention of streaming and the DVR, we're able to catch up here as I see the Indiana Pacers take a 2-0 lead against the New York Knicks. Love it. Grizzy says, I am Super J bias. Gotta support my fellow Bay Area and LOL. Right on, man. Right on. And I'm with you too. I mean, Jey Uso from the Bay Area. You guys already know we're big Bay Area fans here. Hence the name Jay Area. Um, big fan of Jey Uso. Big fan. Don't know if you guys have seen, there are rumors and reports that we might get a 6-man tag. Jimmy and Jey Uso teaming up with Cody versus Logan Paul, John Cena, and Travis Scott. These are just rumors, of course, but I want to hear from you guys in the chat. What do you guys thought about that? What are you thinking? Logan Paul teaming up with Travis Scott and John Cena, Team Hollywood versus the Usos and Cody Rhodes? What a matchup that would be. That's my chair. I'm going to give a special shout out here as well to our members of the main event Mafia. Grizzy, Mama Ramos, San Fran 5 as well. Appreciate you guys always showing up and showing out on these streams and continuing to highlight those championships. You know, because as you guys know, if you are a member of the Main Event Mafia, you become a member here on YouTube. You get the unique championships right by your username. Of course, the different championships dictate how long you've been a member. So obviously, when you become a member, you're going to have the NXT Championship, and from there, it would evolve to the US Championship, the the Cruiserweight Championship, the Intercontinental Championship as well. So that will change depending on how long you've been a member. Did you see where Norm from Cheers and Jim Irsay passed away? I did not know that Norm from Cheers passed away. I did hear about Jim Irsay, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. I did see about Jim Irsay, but I did not see Norm from Cheers. I didn't really watch Cheers, or Frasier for that matter. I'm not really a big TV guy, a big TV show guy. Much more into movies. You just reminded me, we haven't seen Cody since WrestleMania. Wonder when the return is. Some people are saying it might be tomorrow. Some people think it might be tomorrow. If not, I could see it being Money in the Bank. I don't know how much longer he stays away. I think it's a great opportunity for Cody, one, to recharge his batteries. Take a step away, rehabilitate some injuries, spend time with the family. That's a big thing, because then spend some time with the family. But also, it gives people a chance to miss you. Cody in that feud with John Cena, people were booing Cody. People were cheering for John out of pure nostalgia. So I feel like the less we see of Cody, it gives more people an opportunity to want to see him again. Like, I, for one, I'm a big Cody fan, and I want to see Cody. That's my guy. But at the same time, I want to see him get his rest. I want to see him get his recognition. And by him stepping away, that's going to give people that perception of like, hey, man, what happened to Cody? Oh, man, I miss seeing Cody. I miss hearing his music. So when he comes back, I'm sure it'll be a huge ovation. Could be tomorrow. He's in Florida. I seen on socials. That's right. He's in the 3-piece suit riding those roller coasters. Could you see him in a qualifier for Money in the Bank? Maybe, but I don't think he wins. I could see him being in the qualifier and maybe getting cost his opportunity by someone else, but I don't see him in the Money in the Bank matchup. It'd be a crazy visual. I think Cody's at that point in his career where he doesn't have to be in those kind of matches, trying to fight for a title opportunity. He's just going to earn that title opportunity and get it himself. Not only that, but a guy like Cody doesn't need the contract, so I don't want him in the matchup. If we're going by the old logic, he should be getting a rematch for the championship, but that was like from the previous regime. I don't think they go with the rematch clause anymore. But if he isn't a Money in the Bank qualifier, I don't think he wins it. I think someone prevents him from winning, hence keeping him out of the matchup. And that's another thing too, a quick turnaround. Saturday night's main event, and then Money in the Bank is a couple weeks away. Americano and Penta fighting soon. The story with El Grande Americano, something that I did not think was going to get over as much as it did, but him against Penta, I mean, similar fighting style of Chad Gable. So that was a good matchup between Gable and Penta. I'm sure Americano and Penta would deliver as well. Yeah, lately it seems like rematch clauses aren't a thing anymore. Yeah, that was like an old regime thing. At some point, they decided to get rid of the rematch clause, which is fine because... Excuse me. Which is fine because it got a little bit too repetitive with some of these matches. But at the same time, in terms of logic, you would think they want a rematch. So if they don't get that rematch, it's like, that doesn't make sense. If I lose, I would like a rematch for my championship. But it would lead to some repetitive matches, and then on top of that, you kind of already knew, well, they just won the title. They're not going to lose it back to the guy. So it kind of removes that repetitiveness in the booking. Shout out to Grizzy and Kent here, as well as Muhammad, Tyler, Mama Ramos, and San Fran, all in the chat tonight, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you again for showing up for this. We'll be going for another about 10 minutes or so, so make sure you guys drop in your comments and your questions in the chat below. Let's see. We got winning that triple threat match for Tag Team Gold. For Tag Team Gold. Oh, no, wait. Did I miss a match? Oh, for the Raw Tag Team titles. Duh. Yeah. It's the War Raiders versus the Creed Brothers and the New Day. Can't believe I almost forgot about that. See that, dude? There's a lot of wrestling going on. I got the New Day. I don't think they dropped the titles just yet. I think we still have this story between them and the War Raiders. If anybody wins, though, and it's not the New Day, maybe the Creed Brothers. Maybe the Creed Brothers sneak out a victory here. But it's just, I always look at the pin. Who's taking the pin? I can't see anybody taking the pin. I can see the Creed Brothers taking the pin, but I don't see New Day pinning them. Difficult. I'm going to go with the New Day. They have been building Americano, Penta. I am down for that. Would love to see Americano eat a destroyer, dude. The Mexican Destroyer by Penta is one of the smoothest moves in the WWE right now. I love seeing a good destroyer. And to see Americano eat that, play that on repeat as a GIF. Or GIF. However you guys say it. I say GIF. Also, if you guys have not seen, for our members only, you guys get first access to the videos. We had recently uploaded the latest video of me trying to name every single Money in the Bank participant since 2005. It was a daunting list. It was a fun video for me. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. If you become a member of the channel, you will get first dibs on those videos and be able to watch them before anybody else will have that video uploaded at a different date, at a later date. But if you're a member, you get first dibs on the videos. We also have another one that I currently am editing where I share the what if scenario For every single Money in the Bank winner, when you win Money in the Bank, you get an opportunity to choose the champion to cash in on. In my next video that I have to edit, I have a what if scenario. For every Money in the Bank winner, had they chosen the other champion. So for example, when Edge won the Money in the Bank briefcase back in 2005, he cashed in on the WWE champion John Cena. What if though he cashed in on the world champion Batista? So in that next video, I share the what if scenarios of every single Money in the Bank winner and who they could have cashed in on if they chose the other championship. So hopefully it's a video that you guys enjoy. If you enjoy any of the videos, please make sure you guys give it a thumbs up and help the algorithm figure out that, hey, this is a channel that people are enjoying, and comment down below some of your favorite aspects of these videos or any future video ideas. I also would like to take some inspiration from you guys, so make sure you guys drop those in the comments as well. And Gable, excuse me, Americano sells big moves very well. Love a good seller. It only highlights the maneuver even better. So yes, down. Would that metal in Americano's mask be legal when they fight? Absolutely not, Ken. That is a foreign object. If he gets caught using that metal plate, that could lead to a disqualification. So he better be careful. He's been using it a lot often and been getting away with it. But he gets caught with that metal plate, that's a disqualification. What if John Cena cashed in successfully? It's a question. But in that video, we talk about the other champions. What were the different matchups? Because I know the cash in that you're talking about, John Cena cashed in on CM Punk. But in the video, I share who he would have been cashing in on had he chosen the other champion. So it opens up another realm of possibilities in pro wrestling. And in pro wrestling, very much so like Marvel, there is a lot of what if scenarios, and I kind of want to tackle more of those in these future videos. So like I said, once I have that uploaded, or excuse me, once I have that edited, I will have that uploaded for our members only channel, and then at a later date we'll have that available for a wider release for everybody. Hopefully you guys are doing well on this Friday night leading into the weekend. Hopefully you have a great weekend ahead of you. I know for me, we have some plans here. We're going to be, well, one, I'm going to be watching some wrestling, of course. How could I not? We're also going to the movies. Going to check out the new Lilo and Stitch live action remake. Big fan of the original animated movie, so we're going to check out this live action remake and see how it is. So aside from that, hopefully you guys have a great weekend as well. Hopefully you have great plans. And if not, hey, there's still plenty of time to make those plans, right? But yeah, we're going to stay up here for another few minutes. Make sure you guys drop in your comments, your questions here. I'll try to get to each of them before we sign off here on another live stream on a Friday, no less. I appreciate you guys checking us out on a Friday. We usually have it on Thursdays, but business came up on Thursday, so we were able to do it here tonight on a Friday. Keep up your notifications as well as check out the community posts. That's where I will be updating you guys in regards to the next set of lives as well. Ken says, I got one for you. What if Mr. Perfect didn't get released before the first Money in the Bank? Would he have won? No, I don't think so. Because he was in 2002. The first Money in the Bank was in 2005. So that's a 3-year difference. I don't think he would have been there. Plus, even then, I feel like if had he not gotten released, who's to say he doesn't leave anyway? At that time, TNA was beginning to build up, and obviously, we can't erase the fact that he passed away. So it's difficult to play that game because then you're talking about like, okay, well, what if he didn't get released, and then what if he didn't pass away, and then what if he had not left for TNA? So there's a lot of what ifs, but if he had stayed, I still don't think he would have been featured in that Money in the Bank matchup. My biggest what if, 2013's Randy versus Daniels. Yeah. That one's a big heater. And I talked about that in the video as well. About how much of a heel move that was for Randy. But conversely, what would it have been like had he chosen the other champion? So if you want more of my take on the possibilities of those cash-ins, make sure you check out the video Keep in touch with those notifications as well as the community posts. What if Sting came in sooner? We probably would have got the Taker matchup. That's the biggest what if for me. Taker versus Sting. That's a matchup I would have loved to have seen, but we never got it. I mean, maybe not even that. I mean, yeah, if he would have came in sooner, but what if he never got hurt against Seth? What kind of matches could we have seen since then? Because Sting would go on to still have a very successful run in AEW. So it's not like he couldn't have had matches. If he had not gotten hurt against Seth, he could have had more matches in the WWE. So again, you talk about what if he came in sooner? What if he didn't get hurt? Plenty of what if scenarios. But again, if you guys haven't considered becoming a member, make sure you do so. You get access to exclusive videos, posts, polls, as well as kind of like a behind the scenes look at what we do here on the channel and having more of a say on what we do with the channel as well. So I appreciate your guys' input as well. And I always look forward to seeing you guys here on these lives. Grizzly Alex asks, what's your favorite cash in? You know, I think the best cash in is Seth Rollins. That WrestleMania 31 cash in is probably the best one. But my favorite is the Edge one, the original. I'm biased. I got to see that live on pay per view. That Edge cash in was something else. It really showcased the ultimate opportunist version of Edge. And then at that time, it was new. It was a novel concept for the Money in the Bank winner to cash in following a matchup. So it was exciting. I remember watching John Cena win that Elimination Chamber matchup and thinking the pay per view was about to go off air. And then we hear Mr. McMahon's music, and he makes the announcement of this individual is cashing in his Money in the Bank privileges that he won at WrestleMania. And it was like this huge thing, like, whoa, it's happening now. And it was such a new concept. And I still remember where I was and how I felt when I saw that first cash in. So the best one might be Seth Rollins, but for me, my personal favorite is the first one, and that's Edge winning the Money in the Bank. My all-time what if is what if Undertaker stayed with Brother Love. Oh, I don't know. That is a weird pairing. And that's a little fun fact that some people might not know is that he was not always with Paul Bearer. He was, in fact, managed by Brother Love when he first came in. So, another interesting. You did awesome. You got to witness history. And it was cool because I remember convincing my parents to buy the pay per view. And it's like, I didn't know the Money in the Bank contract was going to cash in. I wanted to see the chamber. John Cena facing off against five other opponents that included, Carlito, Shawn Michaels, Kane, Kurt Angle, Chris Masters. That's the main reason why I wanted to see the pay per view was because of the Elimination Chamber. But then you get the cash in at the end. All time moment as a fan, and I was a big fan of John Cena as well at that point. So you can imagine my shock and horror in seeing Edge winning that championship off of my guy John Cena. What's your favorite, Grizzy? And it's like what I love about those kind of questions is that there's not a wrong answer. It's up to your personal preference. I've always believed that you don't yuck someone's yum. Just because someone likes something doesn't mean you have to poo poo on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, people might not agree with mine, and that's totally cool. Oh, pay per view, I thought you were in person. Oh, no, dude. Oh, no, I'm on the West Coast, and that was happening in New York. No, no, not in person. How crazy would that have been? No, the closest I've gotten to Money in the Bank in person, we went to WrestleMania 26. Of course, regular viewers of the stream, they know that we went to WrestleMania 26. So I did see Money in the Bank live when Jack Swagger won. Aside from that, that is the closest we've gotten to a cash in. Haven't seen a cash in live, which is funny because Tiffany Stratton, when she cashed in her briefcase, it was January 3rd of this year, and it happened in our hometown, and we didn't go. I don't know why we didn't go. We didn't end up going to the show, and funny enough, that is when she cashed in. So we had a shot. We could have saw a live cash in, but it wasn't meant to be. It was great on TV though. I tell you that. I know it ain't Money in the Bank, but what if Ultimate Warrior actually did his dates on, or what if Hogan actually fought Brett instead of Yoko? I would have loved to have seen the Brett versus Hogan stuff, just because of the contrast in styles between Brett and Hogan. I'm not a Hogan guy by any means, but I am a fan of these big marquee matchups. So to see Brett versus Hogan definitely would have caught my attention. As for the Ultimate Warrior doing his dates, um, it probably wouldn't have led to the strenuous relationship between he and Vince that would ultimately create the self destruction of Ultimate Warrior documentary and that tough relationship between the two for so long. I also think it would have helped his legacy because a lot of people kind of crapped on the Ultimate Warrior following his fallout with Vince in the WWE. I do think had he finished his dates, he probably would have been fondly remembered. Maybe even entered the Hall of Fame earlier than he did. I certainly think it would have helped his legacy more. The Bret Hart versus Yoko one, or sorry, the Bret Hart versus Hogan one, that one I would have loved to see. But I mean, rumors are that Hogan politicked his way out of it and didn't want to face Hart. That's just how the cookie crumbles when it comes to Hulk Hogan. As we bring the live stream to a close here, guys, I want to again give a major shout out to Grizzy, Kent as well for your awesome participation here in the live stream. Muhammad was also there in the chat. Tyler stopped by for a little bit. We got San Fran and Mama Ramos in the chat, as well as a quick appearance here by Marvel and DC Marshlands and a very nice, um, I'll say, super chat donation there by our friend here. I can't. It's a lot of letters. FTBR underscore NITIN, but shout out to them as well. I was waiting for you, Grizzy. Hard to have a favorite, but Punk on Hardy was great. After that Edge match, yeah. And it's like Punk's my guy. You know, I'm biased for CM Punk, but his cash in on Jeff certainly led to one of the best runs as a heel. So that's a great pick. But my ultimate what if, I feel like you keep saying my biggest what if and my ultimate what if. Kent, which is your ultimate? Because you said my all time what if, and now my ultimate what if. Is what if the Von Erichs didn't? Well, I mean, they always were. You know, at the end of the day, we all are gonna die. So I mean, that one again is difficult because you're playing with the timeline. Had they not, I think David probably would have been a big star. I think Carrie Carey probably would have been back in the WWE, but stuck as a mid carder. I don't think he would have been pushed as a main event guy. You know, maybe that allows more of an opportunity for the next generation of the Von Erichs to grow. Because I mean, we only have like Ross Marshall and Lacey, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm missing some other Von Erichs. Um, that's a big what if, man. That's a big what if because it eliminates the whole tragedy of the Von Erich curse. You know, so that's a big what if. But we're going to go ahead and start unwinding here on the stream. I want to thank you guys again for joining us. On this special predictions edition of J Area Wrestling, we talked about Saturday night's main event. We talked about NXT Battleground and AEW Double or Nothing. So if you guys missed those early conversations and predictions in the video, please make sure you go back and watch in the archives. These videos are always available after its completion. So once again, I want to thank you guys for joining us here as we get one more. Did the last Von Erich pass yet? No. Kevin is still with us. Kevin Von Erich is still alive. He was most recently shown on AEW TV with his sons Ross and Marshall. Sir Robert, see you tomorrow night, Saturday night's main event. You know we got to do a recap show of that. So after Saturday night's main event, I do plan on going live. So I hope to see you guys there. Shout out to Sir Robert as well. Have a great night, everybody. Kent, Grizzy, Sir Robert, Sanfran 5, Mama Ramos, Muhammad, as well as Tyler, Marvel and DC. Shout out to you guys again for showing up and continuing to make this the best part of my YouTube experience, and that's the live streams. We've been going on this little journey on YouTube, and I can honestly say the best part is being able to interact with you guys. So once again, thank you guys. Hopefully you enjoy the predictions video. Check out the other predictions video that we have in the past and kind of see maybe where I rank in these predictions. I'd like to think I'm pretty solid in my predictions. So if there's one thing that you guys can bank on, it is the J area predictions. Grizzy says, rest in peace to the legend. Still remember putting the hill bully in an the high school bully in an iron claw. Shout out to Grizzy. We hate bullies here. Come on now. We hate them. All right, guys. Everyone have a great night. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the shows. Make sure you guys drop your predictions as well in the comments, too. I want to see you guys and how you guys predict these matchups. With that being said, of course, my name's Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you for hanging out with me in today's predictions live stream. And once again, stay cool, stay safe,